like Professor Farnsworth there. Welcome to Civic History, and today we'll be discussing the Spanish Civil War. Thank you to everyone who requested this. I hope these series of videos will be up to your expectations. So, as I said, series, this is part one. We'll be discussing the fall of the Kingdom of Spain, the establishment of the Second Spanish Republic, and the armed forces of the Second Spanish Republic in this video. Now, the reason why I split this thing up into parts is because A, it would be like a 40-minute video if I didn't. And B, I have to tell a lot of stories to get up to the point of being able to talk about the Spanish Civil War in whole, because it's a lot of different groups coming together and a lot of different factions to fight this war. So, our story begins with the Kingdom of Spain's restoration after the First Spanish Republic. This is the Kingdom of Spain that America, in my Spanish-American War video, which I will link in the description, and probably just link at the end of the video since I figured out how to do that now. Woohoo! This is the one that America defeated in the Spanish-American War. It had lots of problems. There was issues with its loss of its colonies, some weak monarchs. Radical politics was starting to take hold. The Spanish Socialist Workers' Party was founded. Trade unionists, liberalism, economic problems. All these were culminating around the mid-20s, especially with the Great Depression on the horizon and Europe's brokenness after World War I. Even though Spain didn't participate, it was still heavily affected by World War I. Oh, and this is King Alfonso, the last king of Spain before the Second Republic. So, King Alfonso appointed a dictator who appointed, more of did not oppose the military coup of Miguel Primo de Rivera and his Patriotic Union Party. They rose in a coup in 1923 and ran Spain as a military dictatorship for the next 6 years in an attempt to placate the left to stop them rising up against this new government. They gave a monopolistic trade union control to the UGT, which is a big trade union in Spain that's still around, and did some public work spending. However, this public work spending was poorly run, so the spending was wasteful. There was deficits. The fiscal situation got worse. They went and made a very harsh gold standard so they couldn't deficit spend or use inflation to buy their way out of any economic problems. The UGT was called in again to help try and mitigate some of the economic problems, but it didn't work. De Rivera brought in other people to attempt to create a industrial agricultural monarchist coalition in the parliament, which didn't work. So he resigned. This also hit the king badly because many Spaniards were upset that the king would support a military dictatorship. They thought, the king should defend the constitutional monarchist tradition of a parliament, not just say, I'm not getting what I want, so here, have a dictator. There was also little support after this for a return to a more normal government. So, after more problems and some municipal elections in 1931 that saw Republicans just sweep from conservative, center, and left-wing Republicans, the king abdicated. So thus, the Second Spanish Republic was born. So, a new nation with a new constitution. So, here are the basics. A head of state was a president who was elected by electoral college, which was composed of a popular vote of random citizens and electors that comprised the people of the legislature. So there was a unicameral assembly that served as a legislature called the General Courts. It was popular vote, 4-year terms. You could request initiatives to be voted on by them if they got 15% of the nation's signatures. There were some restrictions on that, like obviously you couldn't overthrow the government by petition. The executive branch was a prime minister who was appointed by the president and had to get a vote of confidence from the general courts, and he got to appoint a cabinet of ministers. Um, National court system. There was also some attempts at federalism with guaranteeing autonomy to Basque and Catalonia and some other regions. There was also two other big things: freedom of religion. Protestants and Jews were finally allowed full constitutional rights under this constitution, as well as this put heavy taxes on and no longer and stopped the stipend of funding that went to the Catholic Church, which upset many rural peasants who were still quite fond of the old regime. So, in the municipal elections and regional elections and federal elections right after the new constitution, the Rights Party, the Confederation of Autonomous Rights, led by José María Gil Robertos Elaquiñas de León, swept control. However, the president of the republic refused to appoint José María as prime minister because though they did sweep, they didn't have an absolute majority, and there are enough center and left-wing Republicans to defeat the Right's rule. Also around this time, there were internal uprisings from unions. These are taken from the miners' strike, which became known as the Revolution of 1934, in which the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party and some trade unions in Catalonia decided to revolt against the Spanish Republic for not being left-wing enough. I know, the revolution was suppressed by the military of the Spanish Republic, which we will get to talk to. And this is also the other big thing: the 1936 general election that started the Civil War. The left-wing Popular Front won big, getting majority and appointing a socialist and or communist government to lead the republic. So here's the second part of it. We're going to discuss the Spanish Republican Armed Forces. So the army, this is the chief of staff during the war. It's a Mr. Jose. I can't remember his last name. They were the ground forces, traditional European interwar setup, armed with, I think, still Mausers, but not much. The next was the Navy. Now, the Navy here was interesting because many naval officers during the Civil War remained loyal to the Spanish Republic, more so than the army. This is the symbol of the Admiral of the Fleet. This is their naval jack. This is a submarine, one of the new modern submarines that they had. This was also their flag that they'd fly. I can't believe there's a special naval jack. Yep. And then finally, the Air Force. The Air Force, you can see the influence of the later Republic of the Socialist with the Red Star, changing their tail from this round eye here to a red stripe. This is the Naval Air Wing. They flew a lot of Soviet fighters and French and French fighters. They also got some money to buy more Soviet fighters from Mexico. But you can see, especially in the Air Force, the large amounts of Soviet influence. So anyways, thanks for watching. Part 2 will be coming soon. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, share with a friend. Bye, all.